Am I the idiot for canceling the birthday party I planned to throw for my wife after what she did? I am 36, remarried after my late wife passed away. I have a son, 15. My current wife and I have been together for 2 years. She generally has a good relationship with my son, although they tend to have some disagreements from time to time. My son has background in arts that involve wood. He used to help his grandfather with his woodworking and learned how to make handmade wooden items and use them as gifts. I planned a dinner party for my wife's birthday at a prestigious restaurant. The day before the party, she was cleaning my son's room and saw what he got her for her birthday, and that was a wooden tree with mine, hers, and his name on it. She talked with him and told him while she thought it was a sweet gift, she asked that he don't bring it to the restaurant and give it to her there. Why? No idea. When my son told me this, I just had to call her out on it. She flat out said that she thought the gift looked ridiculous and she didn't want it to be seen in that prestigious restaurant, and in front of her guests. I lost it on her and told her she should be ashamed of herself for saying this when my son was being sincere and thoughtful. She swore she wasn't ashamed nor embarrassed by his work and even said she'll take the gift, but she simply didn't want it to be seen there. I told her not to worry about it since I decided to cancel the whole thing. She went off on me, calling me unreasonable for outright canceling her birthday over such trivial thing. I refused to keep arguing, but she threw a fit about how I ruined her birthday and made her lose respect for me and my promises. My son kept the gift since she left THD house 2 days ago, and her mom has been chewing me out for my decision and calling me an asshole for treating her daughter like this. It could be that it was not a big deal and I overreacted, but my son was feeling hurt by her request. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for walking out of the kitchen and going to play video games whenever my wife tries to help me prepare food? I love my wife very much. She is a smart and capable woman who leaves me on the dust in most categories. My wife cannot cook. At all. She burned water once. She was boiling water for rice and it had oil in it. She got distracted and the water boiled off. Then the oil caught fire. Then she threw water on it and nearly burned down her parents' house. She can follow instructions on microwave food. She can use the microwave to reheat leftovers. That's about it. Her mom and dad gave up trying to teach her. I love cooking. I enjoy making tasty meals from scratch when I have the time. One of my go-to meals is fried chicken thighs and waffles. I use my dad's waffle recipe and they come out light and crispy. Perfect. I don't always make them though because it takes time. I cheat sometimes and use premix. They are heavier and kind of floppy, not crisp. So I'm making breakfast yesterday and the kids are at the table. I have the chicken going and I'm making waffles. It's a good morning. My wife decided to help and covered the waffles in foil so they stayed warm. They did. They also steamed and got soft. So I finished making myself a waffle and served my food and left the kitchen. She can finish everything off. She does this constantly. I will be making steaks and I'm resting them and she throws them back on the grill to keep warm. I'll have the chicken fully cooked and tender and she will turn up the heat and dry it out, just to make sure. I am sure. She came up to me yesterday for the 50th time and asked why I always walk away when she tries to help. I explained for the 50th time that I enjoy making good food. And that her help is almost universally detrimental to the meal I'm trying to make. She thinks I'm an asshole for caring so much about how food feels and tastes. I think she can do whatever she wants on the days that it is her turn to cook. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not mentioning that my wife and I are expecting at my brother's wedding? My older brother got married last weekend. It was a huge wedding and they had guests from all over the world. Not like every guest was from out of town, but our family is far-flung and there were guests from Denmark, Uruguay, and Australia. There were a bunch of our out-of-town family from all over North America as well. My wife and I have been trying for a couple of years now to have a kid. Unsuccessfully, unfortunately. Until now. We are on week 12 and all is good so far. I was my brother's best man and my wife did the video they played at the reception. She does that sort of thing as a hobby because she is an A/V need from back in the day. My brother and his wife had lunch with our parents and my wife and I yesterday. We told them that we were expecting and it didn't go as we expected. My dad, brother, and sister-in-law were happy for us and my mom was upset. Not because we are expecting. Because we did not tell all the out-of-town family. We won't see most of them again for years. The only reason some were able to attend the wedding was because my dad has 1 billion air miles. So my mom said that we should have let everyone know. So they could be part of our good news. My brother thanked me for not overshadowing his wedding. My sister-in-law called me last night to thank me because she does not want to start shit with my mom. I didn't think it was the right thing to do, but my mom makes a good point. Some of the guests won't be back in Texas for years. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not acting impressed by my wife's accomplishment? My 28M wife, 26F, and I have been married for close to 7 years. We currently have 5 kids together, 6M, 4M, 3F, and my wife gave birth to fraternal twins, son and daughter, a year and a half ago. My wife intended to graduate high school the year we got married, but life got in the way. My dad had given me an investor relations type of role at his company, so we were traveling a lot, and then after that our kids needed our attentions. After our twins were born, my wife was bedridden for longer than we and even the doctors expected. Since we had to hire extra hands to do the childcare tasks that involved mobility, my wife had some time on her hands. Her mother told her that her friend who proctors at a testing center said that they give GED tests basically every week, at least across the state of Idaho, and that she should dust off her general education knowledge. She started browsing her laptop and decided to enroll in a GED prep class online. It seems she was better at self-paced learning than classroom learning, because the stuff they were testing her on came way easier to her now than it did then, even though she's been away from structured classroom instruction for many years now. Even after she was back on her feet, she'd be studying for it after she dropped the older 2 off to their respective schools. I would see what she was studying and it looked pretty rudimentary, and I knew that getting a GED basically means nothing, and that she probably wouldn't be able to apply it to anything career-wise, or commit full-time to community college, where I doubt the job prospects for students are that great right now either. So my wife ended up taking the test, and the other day she bounded into the room and said a yes. I passed. I knew she would since she was doing well on the practice tests, and the GED consistently tests on the same rudimentary topics. I did not gripe at her but merely nodded at her and went back to answering an important email from a client. My wife seemed to get upset and I asked her what was wrong. She said I didn't seem that excited, and I said that it's great that she passed, but I have been telling her that it was easy and no big deal. But if she needed something to prove to herself she knew the high school concepts, I guess the money was well spent. She got even more upset and said she worked very hard and this was the essential building blocks to being able to start a career. My wife passed her GED test, but she wasn't exactly graduating from college and wouldn't be for at least 15 years. I just didn't see any immediate applicability to her test, but I am glad she had something to challenge her while she was coming off being unable to fully care for the kids. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for saying it's my wife's fault that my slacks didn't get packed for my work trip? Hi, first-time poster. My wife, 30F, and I, 31M, have been married for about 7 years now. I decided to go on a last-minute work trip which caused me to have to book flights, hotel, etc. late at night and then fly out the next day. I needed new work slacks for the trip since I've primarily been working from home in my current company, so we had to make a late-night run to the local Walmart to get a few pairs. We also got some button-up shirts. When we got home I had some stuff to finish up with the planning, so I asked my wife to wash my new clothes so that my shirts weren't so wrinkly. I handed her the shirts to wash separately and put the pants in the dirty laundry. While they washed she packed my suitcase and then added the shirts when they were done. When it came time to leave, I verified everything was packed by asking her if she packed my pants. She said yes. Cue to late the next night when I arrive at my hotel and my slacks aren't in there, only my brown khakis and gray khakis. I called her pretty upset asking where my slacks were. She got defensive and told me she thought she packed all my clothes. I had laid them out on the bed besides the stuff to be washed. and told me they should be in there. I made her check the laundry room to be sure, and she looked around the whole house before finding them in our bedroom laundry basket unwashed. I repeated a few times how I was frustrated that she hadn't packed them but had told me that she did. She said she didn't realize by pants, I meant my slacks, and that she was busy trying to do other stuff, and just had a memory of packing some pants with all the other things I had laid out. She also said it was unreasonable for me to be upset with her when they are my pants, and she didn't think she was expected to do a whole second load of laundry at midnight. In the end, she attempted to make me feel better by saying that it would be okay, and my work would understand that sometimes things get a bit hectic with packing and traveling last minute, and I can buy more in the evening hopefully. I feel kind of bad cause I could tell she was frustrated with me for blaming her, but in my defense I did ask her if she had packed everything. Edit update, I accept that IATA and have apologized to my wife. She responded graciously and told me she knows a lot of it was just my stress from traveling and worrying about work. We are good now and I promise to do better in the future. Thanks to everyone who engaged with me civilly in the comments. I showed my wife the post and she wants to say that she is a little surprised at how angry everyone else was. She says she was frustrated but knew it's not a pattern, especially some individual messages that some very angry people decided to send me. TLDR. My wife forgot to pack my slacks for a work trip and I was frustrated with her over the phone, so we argued. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not keeping up with my wife's cleaning demands? I had a major fight with my wife a few hours ago and I strongly think I'm in the right, but she is so angry. I almost feel like I'm the one crazy. I'll provide context. I married my wife 3 years ago, but we have been together 6. One important thing to note is she's extremely clean. I regret not moving in together until we married because while I knew she was clean, I didn't know the full extent. Let this be a lesson to live with your partner before marriage. She is the reason why our house looks like a model home. She hates dishes in the sink while I'm content to let them sit for a couple days. She spends her off days scrubbing bathrooms because in her mind they should be cleaned weekly. She doesn't let me bring my shoes inside and insists I shower immediately when I get home before laying in bed. There are a million more things, but hopefully you have an idea. This didn't start hurting our marriage until we had kids. We have a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. I'm a SAHD. I left work when our youngest was born, and that is when our disagreement on how clean the home needs to be started to get bad. She expects me to do most of the chores now when it used to be primarily her, and I wouldn't mind if they were reasonable. She wants the children to have a bath every day, and I think every 1 to 3 days is fine. She wants all of their toys put away by the end of the day, and I think there is no point when it will be a mess again. She wants the dishes done daily. She wants all house bedding washed weekly. She wants me to vacuum weekly. She wants me to mop every 3 to 4 days since in her logic the kids spend a lot of time playing on the floor. They will not be hurt or sick if I mop every 2 weeks. Because I don't play along with most of her demands, she ends up being the one to do most of the housework when she gets home, or her rare off days. She works 40 to 80 hours/week, so it is a lot, but she does it to herself. I feel I do what is reasonable. This all built up to today. She got home and saw I hadn't yet washed the dishes, and there was still grease/food in some of the pans and on the countertop. Also, I hadn't yet brought in the trash cans from the previous 2 days when they were emptied. She flew off the handle calling me lazy and a slob. She said she would like for me to return to work since in her eyes I'm doing a poor job, and use the money to hire a weekly housekeeper and a nanny who wouldn't leave the kids in PJs all day. I got pissed and told her she is crazy and she works herself up over small things, and I will not be leaving my kids with a stranger. She packed a bag for herself and our babies and to her mom's house. I'm furious. Am I the asshole? Edit, so I'm the asshole. The common belief is I need to help more around the house. I'll see what I can do and apologize to my wife.